Welcome to the Cal Park Bros podcast. I'm your host, Terrence, and with me is my co host, Jason, calling in from the Batcave in Indianapolis. Jason, how are you, my good man?
Hey man, I'm doing pretty good. It's another great Tuesday, 1 week closer to Christmas, which I'm sure we're all looking forward to. Either the Christmas holiday or a Christmas break or just seeing family, whatever. We're a week closer to that. But no matter what, it's Tuesday. So you know what it means, man. It's time to get down with another episode 35, because we're coming at you live, sort of, for episode 35.
Jason, thank you for that. And thank you for listening. This is episode 35 of the Cal Park Bros podcast. For the uninitiated, Cal Park Bros is the podcast to hear. We are a weekly podcast for fans of culture, current events, sports, life, and entertainment.
And as always, we are your hosts, Terrence and Jason. And every single Thursday, we bring to you a brand new episode where we discuss the current events of the day, sports, and the athletes we love.
And even some of the athletes we loathe. No matter the topic, you can expect a brutally honest and fun exchange of snark while learning through the lens of our 30 years of friendship that originated in Calumet Park, Illinois.
And folks, for more Cal Pop Bros content, make sure you connect with us on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all that under the handle Cal Pop Bros or Cal Pop Bros Podcast for more behind the scenes of the Cal Pop Bros show and just to engage with us every single day. But also, the Cal Pop Bros Podcast is available to listen and subscribe for free. For free, folks. No dinero. Wherever you listen to podcasts.
Like us, love us, share us, follow us. And folks, if you like us, hell, why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Why wouldn't you? Hey, when it comes to this podcast, like Terrence said, we are the podcast to hear. So make sure you live it, love it, do it. And there it is.
Yes, sir.
In this next segment, we're going to be talking about the notice of vaccination mandates for both certain workplaces and also certain colleges in the United States. I saw a story in the New York Times. More than 150 staff members at a Houston area hospital were fired or resigned on Tuesday for not following a policy that requires employees to be vaccinated against COVID-19. The hospital, Houston Methodist, had told employees that they had to be vaccinated by June 7th or face suspension for 2 weeks. Of the nearly 200 employees who had been suspended, 153 of them were terminated by the hospital on Tuesday or had resigned, according to Gail Smith, the spokesperson for the hospital. Ms. Smith said employees who had complied with the vaccine policy during the suspension period were allowed to return to work a day after they became compliant. The hospital did not specify how many workers had complied and returned to work. Jason, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. Now that there are plenty of people vaccinated and whatnot, and everyone's wanting to return to, their normal life of being at work, there are companies that are going to start requiring their employees to be vaccinated. Whether you're a healthcare employee, whether you're employed at some other industry, they can require that. And that's how they want to run their business. And even though I'm not going to be a vaccinated person for COVID, I understand that completely, and I know at IU Health here in the Indianapolis area, they did kind of the same thing. They're requiring employees to be fully vaccinated by September 1st, I believe it was, or they're going to face, trouble, which could be termination. Of course, I'm not sure about the Houston organization, but I know that IU Health, they're actually allowing, medical or, religious exemptions for people, if they show proof that, they qualify for that. But I, again, take no issue with it. Like I've always said before, just like to the individual who, whether or not you choose to get the vaccine, in kind of the same regard, that's up to you, your personal situation. You got to do what's best for your household. But that goes for the same side as, employers. You got to do what's best for you and your company. If you want to keep your employees safe, this may be something you have to choose to do. So now it goes back on the employees. You have options. One, you can either get the vaccine if you haven't already, just so you can keep your job. Two, you can, appeal that decision or take advantage of the exemptions given, or you can say, you know what, I'm not getting vaccinated, I quit, or just get fired. So based off what I was saying before, same thing. You as an individual, do all your research that goes into that, make your decision, either get the vaccine, appeal it, fight it, or get fired. That's your choices there. But all in all, I completely understand it. and I get it. So, and fortunately, I'm not faced with that same decision. But if I ever did, then I had to consider my options and take my desired action. So, um, yeah, I had no issues with that. Also, we've seen also universities starting to require that as well. I found a website where it kind of listed all the schools in all the states in the U.S. that actually are requiring it. It's universitybusiness.com, and it actually lists all the schools, and there's 36 different states that have colleges requiring the vaccine. The vaccine, including several in Illinois, some big name schools as well. Same here in Indiana, with including IU. And like I mentioned, people have choices to take actions. There are actually a group of students at IU that decided to file a federal lawsuit with the university because they don't want to. They feel like the mandate is a violation of law. So, um, but yeah, again, even from the school side of it, I totally understand the requirement. You want to bring kids on campus, you don't want to start spreading it around, stuff like that. That's a requirement you're making. So, um, again, no issues. Um, I mean, I'll stop right there and let you kind of throw your opinion in there, but definitely some other points we can definitely talk about when it comes to this. But no issues for me. What do you think?
Yeah, Jason, I'm first off, I'm peeping this site you just mentioned that actually lays out by state the colleges that have officially given a COVID vaccine mandate. For those near and dear to the state of Illinois, Columbia College, DePaul University, Lewis University, Loyola, Northern Illinois, Northwestern, Roosevelt University, School of the Art Institute of Chicago, University of Chicago, University of Illinois, and that includes all three campuses. Not seeing Illinois State. Redbirds, what y'all waiting on? Just gonna say. Just gonna say it. If Big Bro down the street did it, what y'all waiting on?
And
Because
I'd be curious to see the opinions of some students who might have been considering some like multitude of schools in a certain state, but chose to go to another school because that school, like Illinois State, isn't requiring the vaccine. I'd be interested to hear the opinions of any students kind of in that scenario. If there's anybody out there listening and you want to throw in your 2 cents, send us an email to cowboybros at gmail.com about that. But I would imagine there's probably a lot of students out there that made their decision about where to go to college based off of that. That wouldn't shock me.
Jason, so just so I understand, you are under the impression that some students may have made a decision about where to attend college depending on whether or not the vaccine was required or not.
Absolutely. I mean, well, look at it like this. I mean, like I said, you have students here at IU suing the school over the mandate. I don't
Eight
know
of
if those are.
8 of them. Let me be clear. Eight
Yeah.
students. How many students does IU have?
Well, that's not the point. My point in
That's
that was to
always
say
the point. That's always the point.
my point in that was saying that there's still people looking to fight that. So what I'm saying is there may be some students that may not even want to go to the point of suing. They may just decide, well, you know what, I don't want to go to school there. I want to go to this school here. They still have the program I want academically or whatever other factors involved, but they don't require the vaccine, and I'm not trying to get the vaccine, so I'm going to go here instead. I'm sure of all the students, considering all these schools listed in these 36 states, I'm sure there's several that are deciding to go to one school or the other based off of that as a factor. That makes total sense to me. I'm not sure if you get that or not, because
No,
there
no,
are
I
people that.
get that. I just think that you've actually got it backwards because if if the host institution is saying at the end of the day, it's about access. It's no different than the whole mask mandate and basically no shirt, no shoes, no service. If I literally say you won't be able to conduct transactions, you can't access where you live, you can't access where you eat, um, you can't access where ideally you'd be studying. If I literally say, okay, we are effectively giving your spot to someone else, or effectively the spot that you had is now effectively forfeited because you don't have the required documentation. At that point, it's no different than any other application information that you would need before you would be admitted to the host institution. So that's why I'm saying that I think that you have it backwards because you're saying it as if, oh, well, because I wanted to go to U of I, and U of I is requiring this, well, then I'm going to take my ball and go home. No, you might not have a fucking basketball court to go to at that rate, because this is just who's mandated it as of right now. That's a moving target.
I agree, but still, my point still stands is that if I'm okay, so let's say if there's a student, for example, who's considering all those schools, all of them listed for Illinois. Now I'm accepted to all of them. Blah 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 blah. And then but I've also accepted to other schools in the state that don't require the vaccine. If I'm an individual who is dead set against the vaccine, then guess what? All of a sudden, I take all these schools off my list because I don't want to go there because I'm not taking the vaccine. I'm not. Your point's correct. Yeah, that can always change, and the other list of schools get added to the list. Well, although I think maybe not because there's certain deadlines too that so they can't just all of a sudden now come out.
That's what I was waiting for you to figure out. I'm like, it's almost fucking July. Like,
but that's so. Which I don't.
Summer's almost over. This may not sound crazy to a lot of folks, but we're not at the beginning of summer. And maybe it's because I'm a parent. I always feel like when I know summer technically starts June 20th, but in my parent brain, it doesn't. Summer starts June 1st. And if you're at the tail end of June, congratulations. Summer's almost fucking over. And now we pivot into fall. And if you're a college student about to embark on your college career, the clock is ticking, man. Like, you're going to have a business decision to make. And yeah, if you're effectively opting out of the university of your choice, then yeah, you are going to have a business decision to make. But what happens if your second choice school or your third choice school also decides to say, you know what, fuck it, we're going to have a mandate as well? Then what?
But what I was saying with that point is, at this point, it's too late for them to create it. That's my point. It's too late for them to start creating that now.
When you say create it, what do you mean?
Okay, what I'm saying is, okay, so again, IU, the mandate they created was, I believe, last month. I got to look at May 21st. So they didn't create their mandate until May 21st. Okay, that does give students plenty of time to get the vaccine if you still plan on going to IU. But what I'm saying is, at this point, if you start making the mandate July 1st, because now all of a sudden you got kids trying to scramble around to even get the vaccine if they did want to go to your school. So if you were going to do that mandate, you should have done that last month, not July 1st. Because not only are you screwing those students, you're screwing yourself too, as a school. So yeah, I definitely agree. If you were going to do the mandate, you should have done it by now. Doing this stuff now will make no sense at all, and you're just screwing yourself. And not to mention the students. So
yeah.
At this point, whatever school you're going to, is probably they've already determined that they're going to do the vaccine mandate, which is why that list you just looked at was so large.
Yeah, I do wonder if some of these universities are trying to run out the clock and they don't want to be looked at as, because unfortunately the vaccine has become so fucking politicized that for whatever reason they don't want to be the bad guy, but they also, to your point, they good, bad, and different. If you were going to have a mandate, should you have probably had one in May? Probably. I mean, how the hell else do you expect people to plan for the fall on any campus?
Exactly. And to your point, educationally, yeah, I agree with you. Summer's almost over because August 1st is pretty much that time frame when either you got to start getting to campus for some schools or you're within a week or so of having to do that because classes are going to be starting at some point in August. So yeah, so you creating a mandate in July, and plus you got to wait 2 weeks after your first shot to get the second one at least. So that's cutting that time frame down right there. So because if I'm somebody who couldn't get a vaccine shot until July 17th, I got to be on campus by August 1st or whatever. But you see my point. So yeah, it's definitely too late for all that. Should have happened already. But and not to mention too, we're also seeing vaccine, not requirements per se, but vaccine differences when it comes to other spectrums of life, like sports. The NFL uh, changed their protocols when it comes to people who are vaccinated versus people who aren't. And not to say the sports industry is exclusive to that, because definitely they're not. But definitely that's caused some divide. Basically, people who are vaccinated, and this is pretty common, the people that are vaccinated don't have to get tested daily anymore. They don't have to mask, when they're in the facilities. They don't have to recognize, social distancing anymore. Um, Now, I'm sure the NFL probably has a way for people to prove that you've been vaccinated, as opposed to, you know, any other place can't, well, actually, they can take that back. But basically, there have been
Thank
players who
you.
mentioned, yeah, exactly. There are players that actually, have, publicly pointed out that it's going to divide the locker room because, it's just like the masking in the country before. It was maskers versus anti-maskers. There's vaxxers versus anti-vaxxers. Now it's going to be the same thing, and you see it just in their world as well. But that's going to be the same case as well. So for all industries, but overall, again, I think the vaccine requirements is a good thing. People just got to decide what's best for them. Um, Now people going as far to sue the organizations about it. If you work someplace, I can see that, and I'm sure there's workers in the medical industry that have done that. But uh, I don't know. I guess it's up to each individual again to decide how far anti-vax are you. You know, the anti-vax Olympics, whatever, like you might want to call it. So, uh, but yeah, overall, it's a good thing. I don't. Now, what I do wonder with this is when will vaccination requirements for COVID be taken off the table for some regards? Like I'm requiring it right
When you say
now.
take off the table,
Well, say again.
when you say taken off the table, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so like in the case for schools in particular, like the article I mentioned, university, business.com, they mentioned these are the requirements for the fall term 21 to 22 school year, which it may be required for the whole school year potentially. But if that's the case, or even if that is the case, what is it going to be something required going forward for 22, 2023? Kids coming in at that point, because hopefully by then, ideally, knock on wood, we'll be either fully past the pandemic, at least this pandemic, or further to the point to where, hey, we've almost eradicated this thing. If you haven't been vaccinated by now, yeah, you're probably not going to get it. No, we're not going to require it anymore. So that's what I mean by off the table. You know, I'm not sure how that will work when it comes to like a workplace environment, but I'd imagine obviously with COVID or any pandemic, situation so fluid when it comes to obviously we're not at the height of the pandemic anymore. I feel pretty comfortable in saying that, at least not in this country. So that's what I mean by off the table. It's required by certain schools now, or in some cases, some companies. But what about going forward? What if I'm new to the school for next school year? What if I'm new to the school or new to work in the workplace in the next year? Is it going to be still required of me then, or is it only required now because vaccinations are the hot thing right now, and we're still in the pandemic? What about next year when ideally we're not in the pandemic and the whole vaccine talk isn't as hot as it is right now?
Yeah, I am curious. Um, I anticipate, like many things, that's going to be a moving target because you and I both went to university. Um, Not to get all British on you today, folks, but the I know for a fact every application I put in, I had to put in my immunization records. So for me, this is very old hat. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have to provide that. And this whole, hey, you can't ask me questions like that. And I'm like, they can if you want to get into the fucking school and get a degree there. Like, as long as that has value, and obviously it does. Um, I think also it's going to be really interesting to see how some of these lawsuits pan out. Um, the staff members um, at that Houston Methodist Hospital, they already took the L on that one because a U.S. District Judge, Lynn Hughes, upheld the vaccination policy of the hospital, saying the requirement broke no federal law. So that is going to be a fascinating exercise should um, employees or students opt to escalate if they don't think the policy is fair. Um, they would have to show that effectively some rights were violated. Um, no one has a right to a degree, or a right to a job, necessarily, under those circumstances. So I don't see that playing out well. If nothing else, it'll be a fascinating exercise in our system of law.
Well, to that point, man, I will say that IU did adjust their policy requirement a little bit based off of some legal fire they were facing. Basically, and this is a state legislative thing. Apparently, IU adjusted their policy when it comes to requiring them to show proof, requiring students to show proof that they got vaccinated, because apparently that goes against a state House bill in regards to they can require the vaccine, but they can't require someone to show proof of it. So they adjusted their policy a little bit when it comes to that. And I was just bringing up just to your point when it comes to you're interested in how the lawsuits go, and at least in that regard, and I'm not sure that's what the design intention of the lawsuit was, which I don't think it was, but that legal fire did cause IU to change the policy at least a little bit. So I just wanted to put that out there.
No, man, Jason, that's good perspective, man. Especially, we know there's going to be some federal escalation lawsuit wise. There's absolutely going to be some state level shit going down. So keep that coming, man. That's good. That's good intel. All right.